This video is going to be about your groundwork for exercise. I happen to have the saddle on because I'm working on video production. So I do have the saddle on because I'm going to roll into the next video. But I want you to know that it's okay. You can do your groundwork for exercise, for physical exercise, with or without the saddle. I would actually encourage you to do both. The one reason is so that your horse doesn't just get used to using the saddle for riding, you want to be able to have that saddle on them as much as possible, especially if you're in a position where the weather's bad and you're doing some groundwork or your time is under constraints. And so you're trying to get, 10, 15, 20 minutes in of groundwork and there's no riding. I would encourage you 100% to go ahead and put your saddle on, even though your intention is not to ride. But either way, it doesn't matter. Because again, this part is just really about getting the horse to get some physical work. So the difference between your physical work and your pre-ride check is this is kind of a little bit more of a simplistic format. We don't ever lose sight of the fact that we want to make sure that our horse can be soft with their head, putting their head down, that our horse can be soft to lateral flexions. That's your lateral flexions are left and right flexions, because those are will always, whether you're grooming your horse, walking your horse, just leading your horse, turning them out to pasture or bringing them in, or you're exercising them or you're working them, doesn't matter. We always want them to be soft and relaxed. So one of the reasons that I'm actually pushing Destiny away is Destiny has, because of some of her past stuff, she has a tendency to lean her face in, and she has that tongue injury. She has a tendency to lean her face kind of in a stressful manner, like against me or against a person, which then starts getting her to be a little bit more pushy. So I really don't want her to do that. So that's why I'm asking her. I don't mind her touching me or looking at me or even being in my space a little bit, as long as she's polite about it. But I do know for this particular horse, because of the past injury with her tongue and face injury, I don't want her to lean on me, because that is a no-go. So let me go ahead and get to working on the exercises, because again, this is supposed to just be really super simple with getting her to do some walk, trot, canters, nothing other than that. It's just to get her to move around and get her body going. All right, so first and foremost, because I have the saddle on, I am going to make sure I have my cinch tight. So I had it when I put it on, and then I moved her around a bit, tightened it up again, and then by the time I got down here, it was loose again. So I want to make sure that that's tight. I'm going to ask her to just back up, move away from me, and she does need to listen. So she's got some of her pasture buddies over there doing things, and she gets a little bit nosy, and so I don't want her to do that. I want her to pay attention to me. So I do need her to back up when I'm asking her to back up. So if I have to get a little stronger and tap her chest, I will do so. So with this, we're going to go ahead and send her out on a circle. I'm going to send her, actually, let me send her to the right first. I'm going to lift up my rope. I'm going to ask for a little bit of contact. That's Destiny's little sassy behavior, which I call her little redhead. She has that little sassy behavior. Now, the big thing here is this. It's not about just running your horse around in a circle. It's not about getting a buck or a fart or a rear or a carry-on out from her. I'm really setting the stage for her to be grounded and relaxed. That's ideally what I'm looking for. Now, if she does any of those things, then so be it. She does, and I just pivot according to what she's doing. The other thing that I see a lot when people are working on exercising their horses, physically exercising their horses, what they do is they go ahead and they send them out on a circle like I've done with Destiny here, but then they go ahead and they just run the snot out of them. And so we want to make sure that that's not our goal here. It's not about wearing Destiny out or making her run faster or go crazy or anything like that. I just need her to be light and soft and move her out, walk her around. I can stay in a circle, which I'm going to do right now. But if I wanted to, I could move all the way around the arena. Or if I'm working on exercise, I could also do different parts of the farm. Okay. And with the physical part of this, again, keeping it simple, I'm going to do walk and trot one way, and then I'm going to disengage and I'm going to walk and trot the other way. Just keep it simple. That's all we need to do. Just keep it simple. And Destiny is a little bit on the lazy side. A couple things that we're going to do if she decides, because she thinks she's just worked enough. So whenever I'm asking her to go more forward, I'm telling the face and the brain, her brain, her mind, that I want her to go forward. And then I'm going to lift my stick up and I'm going to ask her to go. In Destiny's case, I'm going to make sure that I drop my arm, which would be for every horse, but I'm also going to keep a little bit of pressure on her hind end, just to let her know she's got to go. Every time I use that stick, I always must use my hand first and then follow through with the stick. See, again, she just thinks this horse has just got lazy, lazy, lazy. So she just thinks she's just done enough and she just wants to stop. Just going to keep on trucking. Because again, this is about physical fitness. And if I need to, I'll just swing that rope over and let her know she's got to go. I'm going to let my rope out of my hand a little bit more to give her a little bit of space. One of the things that I'm doing with her is I'm actually moving my feet more towards her and doing a little mini circle in the middle. I'm thinking about the trot that I want for her. So of course she has a trot, but I want to think about her doing more of a 4 or a 5 or a 6 trot when we're asking for physical ability. When we're working her physically, this is actually about like you doing a cardio or you doing a HIIT program where you have to work a little bit. And Destiny is against working hard. So you just ask her to keep on going, keep on trucking. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do a little wiggle in the front. Ask her to stop. That was a little extra push. I didn't mean to do that. It's okay that she came back down. So when I go to disengage, my hand is, my training stick is here. I go underneath my pinky. I slide my hand. My hand comes up towards that horn or towards her back and then moves her hind end around by me moving into her hindquarters. That one would be really good to go back and review, because that you want to get really good at is that disengage. And again, it's stick hand to the pinky to slide up to the horse's back or to the horn or to the withers, however you want to put that, and then move in towards the hindquarters. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask her to go the other direction. Nope, I didn't ask for that. That's a big no-no. She has to stay standing. She's not allowed to just make her own choice about where she's going to go. Now I'll ask her to go. I appreciate her effort. She's not in trouble for that, but I don't want her to just think she can go anywhere she wants to go. And again, what I do is, just to break it up a little bit, I do a walk, I do trot, and then I disengage, and then I change directions. And then I do walk and trot the other direction. And then I do canter. So I'll do a canter this way, and then I'll do a canter the other way. So one thing that you just saw me do, if she's coming in, what I'm going to do with my stick, my hand goes out and this moves forward towards her shoulder. So my hand is telling her nose and her head to go outward, and my stick is telling her for her shoulders. It goes towards her shoulders, tells her shoulders to go out. I typically do this a little bit different, but this is Remember, we're breaking things down here for a real super simplistic, basic form foundation so that it's a little bit easier to do. Moving with her just a little bit. I'm not getting ahead of her, not getting behind her. If I get ahead of her, it's likely to cause her to draw or want to change directions. If I get too far behind her, it might push her too fast. Or if I go more towards the side of her butt cheek, it's going to push her hind end out. So I try to stay neutral with my belly to the girth or just at the shoulder, but not ahead of the shoulder. Best thing to do is just to think where your girth or your cinch is, and that's where your belly button should go. So I'm going to go ahead as soon as she passes the camera, and I'm going to ask her to trot. My stick is already in position. I lift with my energy. Of course, she's lazy as all get up. So I'm going to lift my stick. Now this is Destiny's little trot here that she likes to keep. She likes to keep this kind of little jog, which is beautiful. I love that under saddle, but that's not what this session's about. So this session is about physical work. So I want her actually giving a physical effort into what's going on. Okay, I want her huffing and puffing a little bit. I don't want to run her in a circle like I'm chasing her, but I do want her to feel like, she's actually making an effort in what she's doing, and then having her work her muscles a little bit, get a little bit of happy juice out. You know, we need her to move. Plus, it's also really important for this particular horse, because this horse has a lot of whoa and not so much go. And so for her, if I keep letting her only go lazy, 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 then that's all she's going to offer Mila. So we want to make sure that she's working. Right now I have her on the shorter line. So doesn't matter what line she's on. It doesn't even matter if she's in the round pen. If I want to work her on the round pen, as long as she stays going the same direction. But this particular moment, I have her on the shorter line. If you're able to do a longer line, then that's great, but that takes a little bit of practice. And then of course, if you have a round pen. Good. So see, I'm just asking for a little bit more energy, and she's like, I don't want to. Okay. Okay, gonna go ahead and do a little wiggle and let her walk for a second, catch her breath. And it's okay, it's okay. You know, listen, I'd rather have a horse that's quiet and a little bit harder to move than a horse that's too fast, especially depending on the person that they're going to. And so I actually like that Destiny is quiet and she's grounded and she doesn't really want to make an effort to go anywhere, because that means that when Mila is riding her, she isn't going to do that. She isn't going to want to go fast. She wants to go slow. Now, there are good things and bad things to that. Good thing is, horse that tends to be quiet has a tendency to not be spooky, which this horse is not, as she looks at her friends. But she is not spooky. But what she does do is she has a little bit of grumpitude about moving forward. It's her little sassiness. Okay. So let's go ahead, get her busy, since she wants to pay attention to her running friend, who is so helpful. Oh, okay. Here we go. And again, she is so low on wanting to give effort. That initial go was about Pebbles. Pebbles is her friend. Just decided to be so helpful and take off across the pasture. So Destiny's like, where's my friend going? And so she just gets a little bit up. You notice I didn't do anything with it. I didn't do anything with it. I just relaxed, and she doesn't want to fight. Now, I was going to ask her for a canter, but because she's giving me a little bit of sass, okay, she does have to soften to the halter. So I'm just going to take it. I'm actually glad that this is happening. There's a nice little lick and chew. Means that she's processing. And then now she got lazy again. And of course, she's half distracted with Patty and Pebbles. And this could be anything. It could be a dog that's running down the street. It could be, it could be anything. I mean, she is looking at her friends. She isn't typically looking at other things, although it's good for her to notice things. But I just keep her going until she's in a place that she's paying attention. Little bit of contact with the rope. If she starts pulling her head away, it's going to ask her to stay soft. Horses are horses. We're not creating dead horses. We're not creating horses that don't ever look at anything or don't ever spook. We're doing our best to kind of create a situation for that. But, you know, they are still horses. Destiny is young. And so Destiny's looking at her little buddies. Okay, so I think she's doing pretty good. Not perfect, but better. Okay, I'm going to ask her to canter, a little lift. Okay. So a couple things for Destiny that I have forgot to mention because these are not typical things that I do. But for Destiny's training, I've added in a couple things. Number one is I keep the stick facing her all the time. I don't allow that to go to neutral. And then number two is I'm going to have her come back down to the walk here. I'm going to add a little wiggle. See, she's ready to walk. Okay, good girl, Destiny. All right, so the thing is when I go to the trot is I'm going to go little click to go to the trot, little click to go to the trot. And if I need to, I don't want you to keep using a click. If you're going to use a click, it means something. Okay, so it means go, but shouldn't have to keep using it. Number two, when I go to the canter, I'm going to kiss. I still use my rope. I still use my stick. Halt to walk isn't anything other than just your regular cue. I can see that she's getting ready to break, so I'm using my stick. Again, I don't overuse my kiss. Okay, I'm going to bring her down. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do stick to hand to slide to back to hindquarters. Stick, slide to hindquarters. So she did stop on the first one, but she didn't disengage, so I had to shorten up my rope again in order to get what I was looking for. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay. So wherever I have my rope, of course, right, I'm going to do this right here just for the purpose of the video. If I have my rope in my left hand, my stick hand goes underneath the pinky. It's going to slide. As it slides, it comes up towards her back, and then I move towards her hindquarters, which pushes her hindquarters around, as you can see, just like that. Okay, have to do stick to pinky to slide to the back. And as that's all happening, you're walking in towards the hindquarters. If it gets foobarred, like it did for me, which I'm glad that it didn't go perfect. If she gets distracted or doesn't listen, or I did it wrong, or I needed more contact, all I do is just shorten the line. It's not a pass or fail situation. It's not a good or bad situation. It's just a situation that you go, okay, it's just not working. Pinky, stick hand or training stick hand to pinky, to slide to withers or to her back, and then move her hindquarters around. And we have to canter the other way still. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go back. And of course, she just is lazy. Okay. I'm going to send her out. Let her walk around. A couple things I want you to make sure that you're doing is that sometimes when you're sending her out before she circles, you're giving her anywhere from 30 seconds to even 3 minutes of her standing. Make sure that you're alternating that time frame so that you're not just always sending her right out and then right out on the circle, because then you're creating a pattern of the horse thinking that they have to go, super fast, okay? Heck bent for leather, okay? We don't want that. Okay, then I'm going to ask her to trot. Sometimes you're picking up 1 circle. Sometimes you'll pick up 10 circles. anywhere in between, more or less, okay? All over the charts. Be very careful you don't create a pattern because your horse will figure it out really quickly. Your horse will figure it out. Whee! Now just hold. Just hold, and then I just wait for her to come down. I don't panic, I just hold. And she's allowed to do it. She's a horse, she's athletic. She feels good. It's a chilly morning. She was paying attention to something else, and I gave her the cue, so it kind of caught her off guard. Okay, I'm gonna wiggle. I go stick to pinky to slide. She's okay, let's do that one again. So she's paying attention to other things, so she's getting caught off guard. Nothing big, but this is where I want you to not worry when your horse isn't really quite giving you the right picture. Just go, okay, let's go back here again. I'm gonna send her up. Okay, stick to pinky, to slide, to horn, to hind end, to stop. Perfect. So that was wonderful. Anyway, all right, that's all about your physical, what we're doing physically to get her exercised. Again, with the saddle or without the saddle, doesn't matter. And you make sure that you're just keeping it simple. You're working one direction, working the other way. You know, make sure that you're working both directions. In between the directions, you're making sure that you're disengaging, having her stand. Always make sure when you're sending her out, you send her out and then she stands, varying your time of the stand, varying your time or how many times that you're walking or trotting and cantering. Be careful of not creating too much of a routine, but just keep it simple, really. Just honestly keep it simple to get her exercised. Anyway, all right, we're off to the next video.